Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us. All these things we see on the news happening right now in Israel is, if anything, a lesson for us. And you have to understand what's happening because it is coming to you. It is not coming to just our country. It's coming to your neighborhood, and you're going to have to deal with this. You, not anybody else. So it's very important you watch this video because I want you to understand, and of course, as preppers, be ready for what's coming. Because you know what's really interesting is, we saw when Russia went into Ukraine, people were talking about World War III. And sure enough, I'm not disputing for the fact that World War III may have already started because it often starts very subtly like this, even though it's not subtle, you know what I'm saying? But even though we always perceive that as being a far-off war, even we've been sending money to them, all that, it's still not affecting us as Americans as much. And people are really growing tired of this whole situation. And now this happens with Israel. I went on YouTube last night and I was amazed. Everybody, World War III, World War III, World War III, World War III. Even though Russia and Ukraine's been going on for, almost 2 years now, this last thing that's happening in this small stretch of land in the Middle East is now sending shockwaves throughout the world. And rightly so, because when it comes to you and me, we're going to be seeing this happening with us. And it's not simply just Israel and Hamas, or Israel and Iran and all these other players, but we're seeing battle lines being drawn everywhere. Who are our friends and who are our enemies? And through this all psychological operation that we see happening, it's very difficult to really get the truth and see what is friendly and what's not, isn't it? It seems to be like a huge ambiguous cloud over everything. But there is one thing we do see, and that's the Western world, practically speaking, is reigning unanimous in supporting Israel in this whole situation. And I will say it right now, I've said it before, I'll be exceedingly clear on this. Us at Goshen Prepping, we are Israel. We absolutely, emphatically support Israel. We supported Israel long before this, and we always will support Israel in these situations. And it makes me laugh. I'm sorry for laughing at this, but some people are so pathetic. Apparently that makes people mad when I say that, and they'll say, unsubscribe, and they have to basically make their statement and say unsubscribe and leave the channel. If you really think that I'm going to be upset by you leaving the channel and unsubscribing compared to Hamas cutting the heads off of babies, setting people on fire, which in my opinion is probably, I've never died before, probably the most painful way to die, I would suspect anyway, completely shooting people. And this is not some kind of moral equivalence as people are trying to say. A lot of people in our government, not a lot of them, but a few are saying this is a moral equivalence, because we see all the control you're placing on Palestine and all this stuff. But the whole reason Palestine exists the way it is because they continuously attack Israel. It's always been about that. And Israel is just defending themselves in these situations. Israel did not attack. In fact, the whole army of Israel is the Israel Defense Force. It's about defending the people there. And it's really simple, by the way. If Israel lays down their guns, then they're going to cease to exist. And I have proof to you, it just happened because Israel, whatever lame nuthead made this law, they made it so regular citizens should not be owning guns in Israel. And now look what happened. What would be the difference if all these people in their homes had guns as they came in? There would still be some deaths, obviously, and still some rapes of women and stuff, all these things happening. But obviously, it would not have been such an easy manslaughter as it was. You ask Israel to lay down their guns, they will invade, and we just saw that. But ask Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran to lay down their weapons, and they do, you're going to have peace. And I'm not talking about peace where Israel will take over. Israel wants to remain as a sovereign country, and they're invaded. Okay. All right, that's the whole thing. But there is one good thing about all of this. And as far as even YouTube channel is the good thing, this is really starting to show people's true colors because I'm a straight shooter. I don't know how you are. Even if you absolutely disagree with me, even if we don't agree on a certain thing, obviously if you remain civil, that's the difference that we're talking about. But if you absolutely disagree with me, I'm great with that because at least you're being forthright and you're being a straight shooter and letting me know. And as this is happening, we've always been Israel supporters, always will be. But other people come out and say, oh, that's horrible, blah, blah, blah. And then they literally say things that basically will be a personal attack. Obviously, I'm going to block you. But at least it's bringing these people out of the woodwork, showing their true colors. And all that's telling me, by the way, as you're standing with these monsters, that makes you one of these monsters, and that's what they are. Because wartime is hell. War is hell. I've gone through, I can't tell you how many years of PTSD dealing with the crap I had to deal with, okay? Horrible stuff. But it's war. But war is not targeting and raping and burning and killing babies and civilians. That's not what war is. Those are monsters. Okay, so this moral equivalence is a bunch of crap, whatever they tell you. Okay, but now that I can step off my soapbox there's a bigger picture here. And first time ever, I believe, we can actually learn a lesson from Joe Biden. I don't have any lessons I can think of we can actually get from that man. But it's not because he's showing support. And by the way, his whole thing about showing support is just it's a scam. It's a lie. He doesn't show support. He couldn't care less about Israel. If he cared less about Israel, he wouldn't have sent $6 billion to Iran in the first place. He wouldn't have bought, ready for this? People talk about, oh, he sent $6 billion to Iran. That's nothing compared to the over $50 billion in oil he purchased from them. $56 billion and far more. He has always been cuddly and cozy with Iran. And with Israel up until now, he's been completely standing back and standing afar. But now, oh, wait, Israel's attacked? Oh, I stand with Israel, as his eyes gloss over. You can't even see what he's been looking at. So the lesson is this. A few weeks ago, I talked about how there very well may be, and probably will be, an attack on American soil. And because of this, we're going to see a unification of the United States, of people in the United States following along blindly because of this, including initiating the draft. It's going to happen. And when I said that, and I agree with you people, I had so many comments saying like, you know what, if this happens, I will never join the military again. Or if this ever happens, I will not support that war. And I'm with you. I understand. I think we're going to have to really think about what's happening at that time and make those decisions. But I want you to hear me out. When it comes to Biden, it's really interesting how anything Biden does, we as preppers, our community that watches this channel, question what he does. And that is the smartest, most intelligent thing you can do. Not even just Biden. Because right now people say, oh, stop going off on Biden. He's the one in power right now. But I'm talking about presidents overall. We have a moral obligation to question their actions because, I mean, at the very least, it's often geared because they make money. That's how it comes to be. Like when Obama went in office, he was only worth like $1 million, something like that. Not very much. And then when he left, multi-millionaire. It's interesting considering the president's salary is so low. All right. One of the things we have to do is always question these and always look at their motives, because out of anything, when we see something that's going to unify Americans, it's often under the guise of peace, but it really falls under some kind of evil intentions. Okay, atrocities even, when we see people simply just standing up in line. We see this from history, by the way, with the Nazis. The Nazi people, the general citizens supporting the Nazi party were actually good, peace-loving people. But once the Nazis came into power, it's almost like they turned into mindless automatons following along. And that's because in reality, you know what? They were mindless automatons to begin with. 90%, 95%. Put in the comments below, how many people fall in that category of just being sheep that follow along? Obviously, the vast majority. And so what we see is in the United States, we see the vast majority of people simply just following along with what, in this case, Biden does, don't they? They are sheep. Biden's ratings, even with that in the case right now, are through the toilet. They're horrible. And there's a lot of news agencies even saying he's going to come down as the worst president of the United States. And here, I completely agree with that. But even with all of that, to show you how many sheep follow along, because he says, oh, we need to stand with Israel, people are following along with Biden now. And because of this, his ratings, watch it, are going to go up. And as more carrier groups and everything move into the region, and Biden seems to be playing a little bit more of a hardliner, his ratings will continue to go up. So how much more so if we're going to see an attack in the United States? And he squints his eyes, sniffs some girl's hair and says, we need to remain steadfast, and follow along and not realize what, he disappears in oblivion because he doesn't really know what he's talking about. How many more people are going to now increase his ratings? You and I both know it's going to be quite a bit. And again, it's not just Biden. This is simply just the leader in office right now who is doing these things. What we have to do as preppers is we have to see beyond their veil of lies, to see beyond their intentions. And keep with us again, because I'm going to show you in the end what our responsibilities are. Because our country right now is probably in the worst state it's ever been since its existence, at least constitutionally wise, isn't it? Would you agree with that? And yet people are rallying behind Biden. Personally, I stand with Israel. I don't care if Biden does. I don't care if Biden doesn't. But most people do care. They want to follow along with what Biden does. They follow along with MSM and narratives. Okay, so here we go. Our responsibilities are this as preppers. We must think independently at all times. Talk about it as a community, but remain independent in your own thought processes. Not dependent on Biden or any other leader in office, not dependent on mainstream media, and also not jumping on the bandwagon of what people are doing in the country. Because when we see an attack coming very soon, that's going to be one real big bandwagon, despite what the president says. Guaranteed he's going to say, we need to rally and unify as a country. Of course he's going to say that. Mainstream media will say that. But that's not the important part. People follow along as those mindless automaton zombie sheep who follow along. And it's very important because if we go against that, we're the ones that's actually going to be in big trouble. Because understand, I'll say it again, an attack is coming. Sooner or later, we don't know who it's going to be. We can speculate in this giant cloud of ambiguity. It could be Hamas, it could be China, it could be Iran, it could be a false flag. And by the way, I just need to clarify false flag. People say this all the time too. A false flag is something generated by, for example, our country to make an action happen and blame it on someone else. When we see things happen that weren't from our country, but we allowed it to happen, like, there's a lot of discussion that we allowed Pearl Harbor to happen. We didn't make the Japanese do it, attack Pearl Harbor. They still did it, but because that's not a false flag. That's simply just allowing the thing to happen and you using those results for your own benefit. But false flags are obviously a very clear option too of one of the things they may be doing. And if we talk about nuclear, well, we can actually tell where nuclear weapons come from, by the way. It's very easy. So the important part is when it does happen, it's going to happen. When it does happen, how will you act? That's not a rhetorical question. You need to think about this. If people banded together because of Ukraine, if people are banding together because of Israel, how much more will they band together when the United States is attacked? That's a real question. Think about that. Because when we see Ukraine and Russia way off in the distance, when we see Israel much closer to home, per se, because Israel is an ally of the United States, and I think a lot of people look at Israel religiously as far as an attachment there. There's a lot more people attached to that. What's going to happen when we have an attack in the United States? Because understand, as preppers, we want to be prepared for everything, and our job is not to only prepare food. It's not only to stockpile water and ammunition. Obviously we do. It is for what? Why do we stockpile food and water and ammo? Why is that? For protection. And that's what we're getting down to. Protection for yourself, protection for your family, for your friends, even your neighbors. And I'm not saying we necessarily need to let them know we're preppers and we have food stockpiled in our basements and dug in the backyard. I'm not saying that. But we have to be the sheepdog. We have to take those responsibilities of trying to at least get the sheep to understand what's truly happening. And we need to stand together in unification as humanity, as people, as Americans, whatever country you live in. Because it really is us as far as Americans go, the 90% of sheep or more, and us. We need to unify and stand together and look at the truth of the situation and not simply just hunker down in your basement or go out into your hole in the backyard where you're going to live in your bunker. It's not, you may survive, but understand the people around you are going to be paying the price for this. Paying the price just like the Israelis paid the price by letting their guard down. We need to stand for the truth, but not the narratives, and we need to unveil that. And of course, we need to stockpile and drill and train and prepare. But even more importantly, and listen to this, this is so important, everything we see right now is a psychological operation. We don't know truly what is truth and what's not. And the government, the elites, the leaders want it that way because we're just pawns. And in occasions like Israel, we are just victims. But we need to be the sheepdogs. We need to be the one that's protecting mankind. We need to be the ones protecting our neighbors and friends and family. And by doing this, we have to stay vigilant, keep up on everything, keep watch, and understand, I'm going to make it really clear, people like Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, etc., those are wolves, by the way. You're not justified when you cut babies' heads off. That you are a wolf. And understand, there's so many wolves out there. WEF, those are wolves. So many leaders in our country are wolves. But make no mistake, it is our job as sheepdogs is to protect the sheep. Those same neighbors who call you crazy for prepping, they're the same people we need to protect because we need to unify and stand together in all these problems and all these situations when we're attacked especially. Thanks for watching.